Welcome back to another episode of A to Z, you guys. I'm Zero Remsen. If you've been here by this point, you probably know. I'm going to be your resident Yang, and beneath me is my guy Aaron Chase. He's going to be your resident Yin. That is to say that I'm going to be the light, airy, the naive, the happy-go-lucky, airy-fairy guy, and he's going to be the realist, the truth, the honesty, the darkness, if you will. So. Today we're gonna be talking about something. I can't assume what he meant by this. Before we started the show, he said, "You know what we're gonna talk about," and there's a lot going on with the. Today is May. Oh, it's not May. June 6th, 2020, and a lot has gone down. Both since we talked, while we're talking, and what's going on next. So we'll see what he means because there's a lot to talk about. So. You want to take the reins? You have some stuff on your mind?
I do. I have things on my mind, Zero.
And I got you on my mind.
I'm done.
You're
I'm
done.
done. I'm
Okay.
done meaning that. So, for instance, this yin and yang approach that we have, I know we've gone in circles about this in many ways that, like, in philosophy, and I still believe this, in philosophy, everything that I'm sure you'll bring as a retort to what I'm going to say is very reasonable. But the reality is, these people won't listen.
Mm.
It's we talked about Ahmaud Arbery last time we talked about race, right?
Mm.
And this time, if you can't tell by this point, if you're still screaming out all lives matter right now, and you're still a Trump supporter, there is no I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done. Like, over the years, he's done crazy shit. And
what? Trump?
every
No,
time,
not my president. not the Donald. He's so good.
yeah,
Okay, let's think. Here's what I'll say.
okay.
I challenge you to think of one positive thing he's done. I'm not doing that facetiously. I genuinely can't think of one. I think at one point he took money and put it into the military.
Well, that's not a positive thing right now.
I I don't.
If I were to say a positive thing, and
Right.
it's not going to count, but his negativity is so negative that now people are listening. That's the biggest positive I can glean from this.
Okay.
I've been talking about this my entire life.
Mhm.
My whole life I've been talking about this. And this is the first time I've ever felt that people are genuinely listening. So that is the one positive thing I'll give him. And it's not that he's being a positive outlet. It's that he is so crazy that even white people were like, Jesus, we should take a second to think about this.
Right.
So,
Like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
yeah, you could kind of look at it like that, but I think it's less that, and it's more that a lot of white people are now aware. That's what it is. It's like I realized that for all the white people that didn't listen before, now they're wholly aware of just how bad it is. I don't know if you've been seeing the protests.
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume you. And you've been
I'm like, if you are in California or Minnesota or you own social media and you come from if your circle is actually, it doesn't even matter what your circle is, you're going to see some version of the protest because even
Yeah.
if you're like very, very conservative, very on that side of things,
You're
even
gonna,
if you do support Trump, it's like you're going to get it because they need to feed you the excuses, the
and,
reasons that it is happening.
and you see people, and don't get me wrong, there are riots and there's looting, and I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's okay. But
Right.
what do you expect at this point? It's like we tried kneeling, we tried protesting peacefully. What do you expect?
Yeah.
What else do you expect? So when I see people, a lot of white people out there showing out, it is so appreciative. And seeing them out there putting their bodies on the line feels great. Finally. And I don't think it's enemy of my enemy. I think it's just waking up and realizing. I don't think that they viewed us as the enemy. I just think that they didn't understand. And now that they do, now that I'm seeing video after video of white kids, young white people getting treated by the cops the way I have and the way other black people have, they're getting it. They're like, I see like a lot of white girls like, oh my God, he's just hitting him and he's not doing anything. And it's like, yeah, I know. We've been talking about this for a long time. And so I'm done. If you are still supporting Trump now, Jesus Christ, like, did you see the photo op? The church photo op?
Of course, I saw the photo up. That premise alone was amazing. The idea that in the middle of everything, he was. Let's sit here and pretend. Here's the thing that I have a love hate with him, as all comedians do, because as funny as he is to us, it's not funny because it's reality. It's like if this was a show, hilarious. But it's not a show, it's real life. That's why it's not okay. We could joke about it all day, but at the end of the day, that's horrible. It's a horrible thing that he's doing. That in the middle of this country literally being on fire, not even joking, like things are blowing up. Smoke, gas, fires, looting, rioting, shootings in the street, all this stuff. Everything from out of stuff is going bad. It hasn't been this bad historically ever. And he said, and they said, and I don't know if it was him or his crew, somebody said, let's get you down to a bunker in the time where it's literally the president's supposed to be the leader. What did our leader do when the country was on fire? He went and he hid. And then he came out and they were like, what happened? So we heard you hid. And he was like, no, I didn't hide. We went down. His excuses for stuff is so freaking funny because it's like a middle schooler got caught in a lie. Because he's like, what'd he say? He was like, yeah, no, I wasn't going to the bunker to hide. I was doing a routine inspection. I happenstantially, at the same time that all this stuff was going on, went down into and I went to go say, yep, that's a wall. That's a wall. I got my canned food. Yep, this will take several hours out of my day. So much so, even though I'm just doing a routine checkup, I turned off the lights to the White House and had them. Did you hear about the setup? There was, this is a theory. Now, that I don't know, again, I heard it from my friend. I don't know. I do research, people. Don't just take things at word of mouth. But somebody burnt some message into the White House lawn or something. They did some defacing of the property. And they're obviously blaming protesters. They're like, look, see what happened. This is why he had to move down, because it was getting dangerous. Look what they did. That's not okay. But everyone has deduced that it's impossible for any protester to get that close to the White House because it's the White House
and do something so strategic.
Yeah. Like it has to have come from the inside. There's no way a protester could have done it. And it's one of the things like the bricks that mysteriously started showing up, or all the other videos of policemen destroying stuff to make the riot look worse.
Did you see the side?
Think so. I don't know.
They're right in front of Worthington's. They're all in a line going down, and they smash. There's no protesters. Just the police smash a car window as they're just walking. It's zero. Do you know? I don't know if you saw this. That this incident that happened a couple nights ago when I was walking my dog.
The car that pulled up on your side, but then.
Yeah, look, I don't know, and this is what I mean. This is what frustrates me about all of these years of gaslighting, is that now, in that situation, I followed my gut and I was like, I get a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
Yep.
How can I get my name?
How do you get your?
I don't want to see my face.
You
want
won't
to get my name on the screen.
Your name is going to be there, but your face.
I don't want my face or my name.
Then you would have to. Give me 1 second. I'm doing a thing with a friend right now. As soon as I'm done, I'll fix it.
Okay, just fix it.
Okay.
But I need to hear everything.
Right.
but I don't want my face knowing my name on it.
Okay.
All right, guys. Aaron's gonna take a quick break to go help, I assume, his grandma with something. In the meantime, in the green time, hi, it's me, Zero. You know how this works. I'm just gonna talk to you until he gets back. Let's see. He was mentioning. I mean, it's just. I mean, to say times are crazy. I'm doing air quotes because they are, and also it's like I don't know. Me and Dro were talking about this. Dro by the Key, my instrumental slash producer friend. He had great stuff. You should listen to him. But we were talking about how like it is crazy, but it's not because every generation goes through theirs, right? Like we don't have a war that we're fighting, but this is our war. We didn't have the Spanish flu, but we have COVID-19. Like each generation goes through theirs, and I think this is just our turn. Not to say that this is like inevitable and everybody has to go through something. Like I think that's not true, which is what we're striving to get towards. It's peace and equality and not having to do this still. But to say that like I think that is part of the frustration is that it's still happening. And welcome back. I assume was that your grandma or your mom?
Grandma. She
That
doesn't.
that was such a grandma. That was such a grandma thing. At first, I couldn't tell what she wanted, and then she said, "I don't want my face or my name to be seen." I was like, "Oh, this is something technology related." I was
Yeah,
like,
she doesn't understand that like she just wants to be in the meeting without being seen in any way, and I'm like, you can't. She's like, get rid of my name, and it's like I can't just get rid of it. Regardless. Um, my gut. I'm following my gut now. I'm done. I'm following my gut.
you
Okay?
might
Like,
have to retell the story for those who do not know what happened.
so I'm walking down the street with my dog. It's evening, and I'm in this neighborhood, and I've bitched about this neighborhood before. Um, I'm. It's like I'm living in enemy territory. I am surrounded by all of them, all the time. There's neighbors with multiple with huge Trump flags,
Mm.
and so I'm walking down the street. I am not. I am maybe if I walk out of the cul-de-sac and turn left, it may be 7-minute walk from my house with my grandmother, and this car pulls up, what I assume to be a white truck. That's what it seemed to be. Pulls up on my side of the road, if that makes sense. So if I'm walking this way, they're pulling up like this, and they're on the wrong side. And their brights are on, and they're not going anywhere. They're not moving. They're just waiting for me to walk more. And I'm like, I go back home. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go. I don't think I told you that. I had to buy a gun.
Oh no, you didn't.
I'm in a place now where I had to buy a gun because I live here alone with my grandma. If these fucking crazy people come out, like, school Frankenstein tiki torch shit.
Yeah.
I need something,
Right.
and I can call the cops. They're not going to be any help right now, especially like
Right.
this is the time. This is what I'm fed up with. When I hear all lives matter, you don't give a shit about my life. You don't bullshit me. If you're gonna like my frustration with this is just be transparent about your shittiness. I love attention. I love attention. When I go out there and I do my street stand up, first off, I'm being peaceful, still get told to fuck off. I still get middle fingers. I still get called a nigger. I get all of that stuff while I'm peacefully protesting. That's peaceful. They don't give a fuck about peaceful. They don't care about peace. They don't care. They don't care. It is horrifying and disgusting, and it really shows what America actually is for people. Finally, I'm done with what your thoughts.
Okay. Thoughts. How do I put it? It's like, yes, absolutely. There are subtleties going on that have not been addressed. That they get addressed, but not in a serious way. Again, it's kind of the same way I was talking about Trump. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. But to those who haven't felt it or experienced it, they don't understand that the joke is not a joke part. They just kind of like take it at face value. Ha 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 ha. police beat up on people. That's a funny bit. But then when you see the actual brutality, it's actually brutal. Black people are scared on a day-to-day situation, depending on certain environments that they're in. That is a funny joke until it's not a joke. It's one of those things where it's like my thing is, again, I come to that place of I try to understand as much as possible. They say in certain philosophies, seek first to understand, then to be understood. To me, I feel like the reason, like you said, they don't understand is because that hasn't been their experience. I've seen a lot of different super like high horsey posts during this where like people will throw up something like, what would you do if this thing, or how can you not understand? It's like, you can't understand because you haven't gone through it. You don't understand because that's not your experience. Like that's easy. It's the thing of like nobody's a cheater until they're a cheater. Nobody's like, I'm gonna date somebody and I'm going to purposely cheat on them. It's like you get in the relationship, you're like totally just me and you, and then you're put into a situation and you're like, I guess that's not me, or at least I thought it was. It's a different conflict of interest. But
My
you got.
my frustration right now is also Carly says ACAB, which I recently found out that means all cops are bastards. So my thing, I don't think I get the sentiment. It has to be short, sweet, to the point, which is appreciated.
Right.
But a whole other thing. Either way,
Yeah.
when we talk about how like they just need to see another perspective. That's what they need to see. And every white person that is out there putting their body on the line protesting is a person to me that has seen another perspective and is finally listened. Every person at this point, this is the line for me. I am done. Every person at this point, if you are still a Trump voter, if you're still screaming all lives matter, I know this is going to sound aggressive, Zero, but this is not a person to me. This is a sociopath. This is a crazy, because this is the one time we're all, in a very long time, everyone's all under the same page. We are all seeing the same thing right now. And you're still saying you're still screaming, you're still Trump supporter, then you're done. There is no convincing you. I'm not going to try to convince you anymore. No words I could state could express what you see on TikTok if you just scroll, if you just keep going. Like, these people don't give a shit. They don't give a shit, and they're never going to give a shit. So I'm done with them. I don't care anymore about their feelings or their fucking opinions. Their opinions are null as far as I'm concerned. They're fucking animals, and they're done. This is war as far as I'm concerned. You're my fucking enemy. The fact that we even have to say, oh, this white person is an ally, that's war talk. So we're at war. Fuck them. I'm done with them. I'm done. The end.
And that is your right, as every person has the right to hate a group of other people. Yeah. Again, it's the side of me that's like, you could do that, and given that the overwhelming majority it is that, right? It's like you said, if you're a reasonable person, clearly you're starting to turn over. You get it at this point. So yes, you are kind of talking to the minute group of what some people would define as like crazies. It's just like, okay, well, that's them. That's their thing. And you have every right to, like, I'm not going to associate with that, because it is frustrating. I get what you're saying 100%. To have to go so far as trying to explain something that should be beyond obvious. It is the equivalent of, like, at the point where we're talking about a human life, should you murder somebody sounds like an immediate no. But then we're talking about people, and we're talking about traumas, and we're talking about history, and we're talking about where they come from. And it's like, I understand. I respect it. You can do your thing. I personally haven't given up on people yet. I think that they still have it in them. I think it's the equivalent of trying to convince somebody that their significant other is bad. It's like, when you've locked in that hard, it doesn't mean you're bad. Like you said, people get gaslit. Like you get gaslit, you fall in love. When somebody at the beginning of a relationship, honeymoon phase, they're the most amazing thing. They tell you everything you want to hear. They're there for you. They'll do over the top stuff that you never were even thinking about. And you're like, wow, that's amazing. And you think it's going to be that forever. Or even in a sense of reality, you're like, okay, it'll go down a little bit. I can't expect them to bring me flowers every day. But like, it goes down a little bit. And then it goes down a little bit. And it goes down a little bit. And I get what you're saying. At a certain point where you're dating somebody and they've made you abandon your friends and your family and your worldly needs, that you would think that is what would make them leave. That enough harm to everything else or even themselves. Because at a certain point, yeah, you could also say this is clearly hurting yourself. At the point that you're locked into being a racist or you're locked into Trump, you're losing friends, you're losing family, you're losing job opportunities. I don't know if yeah, because I saw it on your page. The story you put up that happened in Riverside at the McDonald's drive-thru, where the guy's calling the guy the N-word in the truck of the business he works in, and I'm like, that's just stupid on a level of like, if you're gonna be racist, be like, at least now, be subtle about it. Like, be
Yeah.
subtle about it. But the fact that he's doing is like, yeah, now you're gonna most likely, at the very least, you'll lose business. At the most, you'll lose everything. Like by
The,
being an outwardly racist, like
yeah.
or owning those things, um, then you do lose. And you would think at that point that would make them go, oh, I don't want to lose those things. I shouldn't think that way. I should switch it. But again, like it's like dating a boyfriend or girlfriend or your wife or husband. You're locked in to this thing because you've mentally locked in. I don't think we should give up on people because they've locked into a bad thing. They put a bet on a bad horse. You could get duped just as easily as anybody else can get duped. So it's like I know it's like we have to me, and this is gonna sound really ironic. Everybody has the privilege of not being somebody else. Like you don't have their brain, you don't have their experiences, you don't have their stuff.
Hmm.
So you can say all day, like you've seen everything. You've been to the riots. Here's some this is Carly.
Yeah.
Carly's thing, she says, regardless of allegory, white and Asian people need to deal with their own crazy people. Blacks shouldn't have to bear the burden of dealing with them. I think humans in general are all responsible for each other. I don't think we're relegated to taking care of only the people within our subsection. Otherwise, how is that not racism? Like we're at a very specific point in time where people have taken extreme not racism and don't realize that that's just racism's other side. Like the idea of cultural appropriation to me is just taking the idea of racism and going, you stick to what you made, we'll stick to what we made, and nobody gets to do anything in between. You don't get to do anything Hispanic, you don't get to do anything Asian, you don't get to do anything black, and you don't get to do anything white. It's like it's the same thing, it's just the other side of that coin. So I feel like we're all humans. Not to again, I'm not high roading. Again, this is kind of sounds like a high roadie. I understand what you're saying, that like, yeah, they shouldn't ignore the people that are crazy from their end, just like we shouldn't ignore. But that's exactly the point. That's why when this comes up, one of the arguments is like, well, you'll be mad at cops, but you won't be mad at black on black violence. But that's obviously a diversion to be like, hey, why don't you handle you guys' thing? And it's like that's not our thing. We don't want that either, but we can't even begin to solve that if we can't solve this. And it's like a downward spiral into it. All right, go ahead.
The thing that, man, sorry,
You're fine. Yeah, you got
Zoom,
the responsibilities. We're
but
just talking, man.
I know I'm just annoyed. But so the whole they've fit in, they picked their thing. They what were you saying before I left? I can't.
Yeah, the long and short of it is they've hitched their horse to the wrong wagon. But
Right.
it's like there are people who hitch their horse to the wagon with rope, and there are people who hitch their horse to the wagon with iron and steel.
Right.
And
So
it's
those,
like
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's easy for those of us who hitch our horse with rope or don't hitch the horse at all to that thing to go, why don't you just disattach the rope? Just
Right.
untie your thing. Let it go. Don't you see that people are suffering? It's like,
Right.
yeah, but like also people are always suffering, and it's like you could expand the argument until you realize that we're all doing it. Just this is where we're focused right now.
Right. And we need to be focused on it right now. Clearly, we need to. We need to. And the people that live in this neighborhood who reiterate the sentiment that you're making of they're suffering in the world. Yes, I know they're suffering in the world. I know. But right now, can we for a second just focus on this? Clearly it's an issue. And I'm scared all the time. This neighborhood, I was scared before. You were telling me, I was telling you this shit before. I'm already having issues. Now,
Again, I listen to the ACNN. I'm very aware.
oh, yeah.
Like if anybody hasn't, I'll plug it again. Listen to Aaron's podcast. If you think you'll get his thoughts here, you get his thoughts even more there, and you get a full view of what's going on. And I get, again, I also don't want to devalidate. Let me say this for the sake of saying it. I know you know, but we have an audience who doesn't have my brain, so I feel like I have to explain it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Nobody's saying there aren't crazy people. Nobody's saying there aren't racists. What Aaron dealt with, I'm sure, actually, somebody messaged me. I'm sure that the instinct that you had to turn away, 100%. Like, I think you made the right call. That's a dangerous situation. Whoever was in that car, I imagine they did not have good intentions. So it's messed up that he has to live life like that he has to go and do that kind of thing. That as much as I understand, I can understand somebody who I would define as crazy, I do not condone their actions. I do not think it's okay. I don't think it's okay that Aaron lives in fear in his own neighborhood, whether that be because of experiential stuff, because clearly there's some experience there. There's a reason he feels that way that's not being addressed, that comes from something. People have treated him away, and people look at him away. And again, he deals with the car situation that he just dealt with. That's a thing. But I understand where other people would see that, having not experienced it as him, and think he's just blowing it up. When you have those things eating at you in your head, it does sound like it's in your head to somebody who hasn't experienced that. So I just think it's completely logical that he feels the way he feels. It's completely logical that that stuff is happening. That stuff is happening. We cannot deny that that stuff is happening. But I understand the crazies. I understand the crazies. Sorry, go ahead.
And I think that the crazies need to be dealt with.
Absolutely. But it's one of those, like, at this point, like, can you call, here's an interesting thought process. Would you call racism a mental disorder?
I guess in this moment that we're living in, yes. Let me elaborate on that, because I know that's
okay.
Before this blow up, before the blow. Oh, let's go pre-quarantine. Let's go pre-quarantine. I would say, I think I even said it before, is tribal, in that this is, well, this person doesn't look like me, this person looks like me, and there's a human instinct to want to go around the person that you relate to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is not okay. It's illogical, and it's silly, and it's ignorant. But the logic pre-quarantine, I understood, in that you have the experience, you didn't see all of this. Like, fair enough. Then mid-quarantine, tensions build, and I get that. And then then George Floyd's murder happens, and all of these people come out. I would rather call it a social disorder. Well, that's a good way to describe it. But all of these people come out, and there's a support, and there's proof after proof after proof of police officers behaving completely inappropriately and unprofessionally and dangerous, hurting people. I know people have died through this now. If you can't see by this point, you will never see. Your mind's never going to get changed. Fuck you and fuck your life now. That's where I'm at, and I shouldn't be here. You and I are very similar, so you know how peaceful I want to
Yeah,
be.
no, I understand.
When you get me to the point where I say "fuck your life," then we're done. When you're threatening me in my own neighborhood,
Yeah.
when you're making me feel unsafe with my fucking grandma here and my dog, that's it. Fuck you. Fuck your life. This is war. I hope you die out there. I'm done. I'm done with you. I can't stand any Trump supporter now. Fuck you. We're done. We're done. This isn't game. This isn't a game. I'm not gonna be fucking Carlton with you anymore. I'm done with you. I am done with your bullshit. You don't care about my life. If anything, you want my life to end. Fuck you. We're done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, again, I get it. It's the same sentiment everybody's on right now, which is enough is enough. We've put up with this for years, hoping that it would turn around. It hasn't turned around. It seems like you guys aren't gonna ever turn around. It is that. It's the oh, hello.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay. I was saying it's the thing of yeah, it's the if I'm going back to the boyfriend girlfriend analogy, it's for some people staying with a serial cheater is like a immediate no. It's like I gave you a chance to stop doing this, and then you wouldn't stop doing this. You're never gonna change. I'm out. Then for other people, it's like no, for sure they're gonna change for sure. No, totally, they're gonna be better. They don't mean to. They don't mean to. It was an accident. Excuses, excuses, excuses. So I understand. Everybody's at that frustration point with the boyfriend that is America, and is like, I'm sick of your stuff. And so they're calling it. They're circling the carts and they're getting their stuff and they're going home, which is the equivalent of fighting back, which is the equivalent of fighting the system. And yes, I understand that. For me, it's still, I still, I don't know. I still get it. I still get it. I still have some part of myself that's like, I if I was them, if I was them, like genuinely them, would I still support the dude? Would I still support Trump?
Okay. How about this? How about this? If all of, and I know this is going to be a kind of a big hypothetical, all of the same happens and Barack Obama does the equivalent of the same stuff, I would be done with Barack Obama. I would say this is not okay. He's sending the military on people and he's telling them to kill people for protesting. It is your boyfriend example. I understand it, but the problem now is we're talking about lives, innocent lives, large groups of people, and they don't care. They don't care. I think I really hope nothing happens. Have you gone to a protest at all?
The protests themselves, no. Short answer is no.
I don't. It's a weird. This is gonna sound strange, but I'm sure you'll get it. I don't want anything to happen to you. Obviously, I care about you. But there's a little piece of me that I feel like you need to have something happen for you to understand where I'm coming from, because we're getting to a point where, if you look at history, we used up the Nazi metaphor way too early. Yeah. This is real Nazi shit that is going on. Right. We're getting to a point where these people are emboldened enough to do the shit they're doing, to where all of our rights are going to be gone now. If we keep letting this fucking maniac do this, we keep letting these people support him, like, we're getting to a point where there's not even going to be a discussion anymore. I think you should go to a protest, and I don't think you should go to one in Riverside. I think you should go to one in LA and just see what they're doing. Feel it, man, please. Yeah.
I mean, I could go to an LA. I've seen what they are. I know what they are. There are people who are gonna do their thing, and yeah, they're gonna come at them because they're gonna come at them. But I also understand it's like, okay, let's say you're a cop, right? Like, let's say you're a cop and you're at the peaceful protest and everybody's screaming at you peaceful, and everybody's and nobody, because this is the thing, nobody is doing anything on the peaceful side. Everybody's just keeping hands to themselves. But your job as a cop is to clear the road. Like people need to get places. the protests are that like that's the innate nature of a protest is to stand in the way of something, to cause a disruption so that things change. It's not supposed to be like, oh, this is completely fine and everybody just does their thing. How do you disperse a group of people when their whole thing is we're not going to move? You go, hey guys, could you please? I stand with you. I stand with your cause, but like we got to clear the road. And they're like, no, we're not clearing the road because this is a protest. And then you go, but like guys, like this, I got to do my job. Like, come on. And it's like, yes, obviously you don't like hit them with a baton, but it's like what is the thing that always gets me, right? The thing that always keeps me from turning that corner is always this sense of everyone thinks they're right. So I always go like, okay, why do they think they're right? In what world would I think it's right to try to disperse a protest about a man's life? So then I'm like, all right off the bat, I'm a cop. This is my job, right? I'm getting paid to be a cop. That is my job. That's how I put bread on my table. That's how I pay my rent. If I stand for the thing, Carly said they didn't have a problem when white people with guns wanted to get haircuts, then roll eye emoji. Right. Now, here's the thing about the haircut thing, because people like to go to that one as an example of like, look, nothing happened to them. They didn't have a problem. But we did have a problem. Like, that's the thing. People make these comparisons to other times in history when those times in history are not the same thing. Like, we're bringing up the haircut thing because, like, was everybody looking at them like freaking, oh man, they're going to really change things? Or were they like, look at these crazies who want a haircut?
I would say, I have two things. First thing is the thing you said about the cop doing their job. I acknowledge that I'm sure there are plenty of police officers out there who have that same tone. I'm just trying to do my job. I do not doubt that at all. However, the amount of police officers that are not with that tone, that are amped up, these fucking jacked, ridiculous, militarized dudes are not saying, hey guys, I just want to do, they're shooting people and hitting people and spraying people and choking people and fucking with people. And the second thing with the haircut thing is, was it going to do, I don't know. My issue isn't whether I agreed with it or not. I think I agreed that they have every right to protest. My issue is the hypocrisy of seeing men with machine or assault rifles going into a Capitol building and surrounding and getting into the cop's face and screaming at them and pushing them. I see videos of it, of those protesters, the Michigan protesters, pushing people, and they have guns and they're blocking the street. They were blocking the hospital so people couldn't go to the hospital. And my problem isn't that they did those things. If they were protesting, that's protesting. It is what it is. I agree. My problem is those people didn't get tear gas. Those people didn't have the president wanting to call in a militia to get them shot and killed.
Yeah. And I think the reason is because if you look at, yes, those are, I understand the comparison. It's like, yeah, if a black person did that, they probably wouldn't have gone as well. And again, I'm not going to sidestep the obvious racism. Again, there's so much evidence that I can't say that, yeah, you pretty much know, you can deduce that if somebody showed up with an assault weapon to the whatever house and they were anything of a color, then it probably wouldn't have gone over as well for them. But it's one of those, like, when you know, like, it's kind of like, it's going to sound wacky considering the statistics, but when you're them and you see that guy, you know he's not going to do anything. Because the reason you know is threefold. One, their protest is not our protest. Their protest is not our protest. There are not that many people doing the haircut thing compared to who are doing the George Floyd thing. That's like actual protests. George Floyd, thousands of people in the street. Haircut protest has like, I don't know, 40 people with, like, yes, they have way worse weapons. They could do way more damage. But if you decided to get militant against them, if you tear gassed a group of 40 people, that's more things happening to everyone else around. And then, yeah, they're not there. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not the same. And people are drawing comparisons that, like, I get where you draw those comparisons. You're not even necessarily wrong, because I would agree. if all those people were minority, it would have probably gone down like, holy, this is crazy. They were about to attack, and then they subdued them in a way that just would have been subduing regardless. But it doesn't track when the numbers aren't as high. It doesn't track when you can't. Aaron looks close to going full Killmonger mode. Black Panther reference. But
I'm pretty mad.
he's in it. He's on one, guys. But it's one of those where it's like yes and no. It's like because the question always comes back to me of like, then what do you do? Then what would you have had them do? Would you have them treat everyone the same and tear gas the group of 40 for the haircut thing, which doesn't look crazy at all? Which doesn't look crazy at all that they just tear gas a group of people who nobody was taking seriously. They weren't going to do anything because they could sit there with the rifles all day, but they were not going to do anything. They're not about it. Not for a haircut. Not for a haircut. Like
you underestimate these people, but I would say that they shouldn't tear gas the haircut people and they shouldn't tear gas the peaceful protesters.
okay, then I'm saying, how do you disperse a crowd without force?
I would say that first off, you don't disperse that crowd. This has gotten too far, too crazy, and you let them do what they're doing. You let them sit there peacefully and not quietly, yell, whatever. If their hands are up, they're not attacking the officers. You stand there and you shut the fuck up because we're done now. This is done. This is no more talk. We tried kneeling. We tried peaceful protest. We're done. We are done. I'm done. I'm done. I guess what I would ask is Zero, GTG, what is that? GTG.
Hope your discussion goes well. Gotta go.
Oh, I ask you this, Zero, and this is my prediction, and this is a quick one. I predict if Donald Trump gets into the presidency again for a second term, we are at a civil war. I really think that.
Really?
Because we're done and he is pushing. Did you hear about what he wanted to do with the National Guard versus what the National Guard decided to do, luckily?
I think you have to tell me.
Basically, he said you can go out there and use lethal force. And luckily, someone at the top, another general, was like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Look, what I'm saying is, and that what he's doing with, I have a friend whose father is pretty high up in the military, and the military has to follow. As soon as they don't follow him, it's treason. It's a whole thing. So they have to follow him. If he gets in another 4 years, there is a civil war. It is going to happen. And I ask you, will you be able to reason with these people then with your words?
In Civil War times, I think you still have to strive for that. Otherwise, you're advocating at a certain point for us to just wipe. Like at that point, it becomes wipe us or wipe them.
Yes, we're here now. I'm here. Wipe them.
See, and I'm not in wipe them mode. I'm not in wipe out another group. I still think conversations can be had. I think just because their leaders are crazy, like just because their leaders are crazy, doesn't mean they're all crazy. Like I don't think I get where you're going, and honestly, if he gets a second term, I don't see that as a not possibility. For me, it's more again, now to be fair, I was wrong with the first election, but in the second round, I think he's proven what he is at this point. And like you said, a lot of people have turned the corner on him. So the few that are still rocking with him, like, I don't think he'll win another term. I think just out of the sheer, regardless of how you feel about your political stance, dealing with him for another year is worse than just going ahead and being like, you know what? I'd rather just not.
And I think that in an ideal world, yeah, but at least where I'm living, from what I'm seeing, these people are gung-ho. They don't give a shit. This is their guy. And my thing is, like, when you try to reason with crazy and they won't listen, they're just going to continue to be violent and crazy. I'm done. They're not listening. They won't listen. They don't give a shit. When I'm out there peacefully doing my stand-up comedy, I'm peacefully doing stand-up comedy, and I have people say, fuck you. And they have people say, Trump 2020. I have people call me a nigger. I have people say all lives matter. I have people get in my face about it. And it's like, they want peaceful. I'm being peaceful. They don't give a fuck about peace. They want war. They have been fucking stockpiling weapons. They've been talking about this. They're excited for this. This is their fucking moment.
Yeah.
So fuck them. Fuck them and fuck their lives.
And I'm saying on the other side of that, why are you giving them what they want?
What do you mean?
If they've been stockpiling for war and they want you to go to war, they don't want peace. They want to fight, and they want you to give them an excuse to fight. Why would you give the kid who's like wants to fight you? Like, it's like, I'm ready. Come on, let's go. Let's fight. Just throw the first punch. Come on, let's go. Every day. It's like, you're gonna like give into that? Like, to me, it's just like, I don't like, if they want to feel that way, like, man, like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, there's the point where it escalates and you do have to defend yourself. Aaron, you need to have someone record you doing stand up on the corner. I thought he already was. Yeah, people were already doing it.
But with your metaphor about the kid, I understand what you're saying if it's one kid, but I'm surrounded by a bunch of crazy people, kids with guns. I'm surrounded by all of them, and it's not a give them excuse. I've been trying, you know me, I've been trying to be reasonable my entire life. Yeah. I've been talking to these people calmly my entire life. This isn't there. I'm not giving them an excuse to be violent. They're giving me an excuse now. I've been calm with them. I've been calm. I've been talking to them quietly and calmly. I've gone to the same churches as these fucking maniacs, these fucking church people. Did I tell you some of these stories?
Yeah, you said so.
Did I tell you the nigger story? Everyone's a nigger?
Yes.
Okay. These are people in church. These are people in fucking Christian churches. Fuck them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm done. I'm done. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. I know I'm repeating myself, and I know I'm angry, and I understand.
It's fine to be angry. That's your role in the show. I don't know if you get this. We have a thing we're doing right now.
No. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And I agree with what you're saying in many ways. We've already agreed in what you're saying before shit hit the fan. Shit's hit the fan now. I've been to the gun stores. I've seen how they behave. I've been around this neighborhood. I've seen how they behave. They will not listen. If they come out in my yard with guns, I can't go out and say, hey, guys, let's have a conversation. There was a guy yesterday. There was a guy who screamed out, all lives matter. And he was walking by. And I said, all right, man, well, let's have a discussion. He doesn't want to have a discussion. He kept walking away and cursing at me. They don't want to talk. They don't give a fuck. Fuck them. Fuck them. They're done.
Yeah, and that's more than fine. Everyone is entitled to feel the way that they feel. And this is a safe space. But, like, for me, it's a... And again, that's fine. Again, like, I understand where you've gotten to at this point. And we're very similar in that way that you talking, that you've had experience, which is why I call you the realist. This is why I call you the truth in a way. Because I come from a very, like, naive place. I believe in the good in, like, deep down. I believe that underneath, like, we come from 400, was it 400 years or 200 years of slavery?
4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah. So we come from hundreds of years of slavery, and we think we're the only ones still dealing with that baggage. But it's like, mental stuff is mental stuff. They're dealing with that baggage too. And it's like, just because there are 2 kids in a household, I use a lot of metaphors and similes, and also analogies. 2 kids in a household. One kid gets abused, the other kid gets praised. They're both in the house for their whole lives in the abusive and getting praised. Then they get released out into the world. The kid who got praised isn't not dealing with the stuff of praise, like the entitlement that they have in their head. It's still going, like, that's a disease. That's why I asked the earlier mental disease problem. I think it is a socially caused one, but somebody said, The worst part about this, Aaron, is you have to be the person who cares. We as minorities don't have a choice but to be the bigger person and open the dialogue, not to the irrational, but to the misinformed. I think he meant misinformed,
Yeah.
unless I scroll up. Yeah, misinformed. It sucks, but not matter. No matter what, we have to be bigger. Yeah, it's a thing of, and again, I get it. Like, I do understand it. I just don't think the answer is genociding the other side. Like, I
Now,
don't.
let me
I
clarify. Let
just,
me clarify.
I,
I'm not supporting genocide. What I'm saying, I'll clarify my stance in a calm, reasonable way. What I'm
yeah.
saying is,
I know you didn't mean that. I'm being I'm poking the bear a little bit.
what I'm saying is, Gerard, what I'm saying is, be the bigger person. Yep, I understand that, and I've been trying to be the bigger person my
Yeah, he's
entire
been the bigger person all, like, oh, you're 28 now? 29?
29. Yeah.
29. All 29 years. You've seen Aaron. Like, Gerard is another stand-up comedian. You've seen Aaron. Aaron doesn't fly off the handle unless pushed. Like he's pretty chill. From my experience of him, he's a pretty chill dude. He's pretty chill about most things. And any stuff that does rattle him a little bit, he'll take it in himself and then he'll deal with it on his own. That's where Aaron is. He's been doing that for 29 years against a systematic government that's been tearing at who he is, making him feel crazy, making him feel threatened physically and mentally. Like, he's been being the bigger person. So obviously, if you had been doing it for more than a decade, almost 3 decades of being the bigger person, and the other side has gotten almost no punishment, almost nothing has happened to the other side, and they're still doing the stuff that you were dealing with when you were little. And everyone was telling you it's going to get better, or that it's not even a problem, that your problem isn't even a problem. After a while, I feel like if I had Aaron's experiences, I would also be at the point where I would want, like, it would be hands.
To add something to this, man, this sucks because when it was just quarantine, I was great.
Yeah.
I was really great.
Yeah.
And I still
you really had a turnaround.
I am still doing great. Honestly, if it wasn't for quarantine was one of the best things that ever happened to me because if you took out the quarantine time and you just hit the riots, I'd be losing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the quarantine was great for me. But my issue is that now if it wasn't for them feeling so emboldened and so ready to go, I wouldn't be reacting this way. If it wasn't for like that moment of me walking down the street and realizing like, oh, literally down the street, I'm gonna have this problem, like real violence now.
Yeah.
My response to all of this is so aggressive because now they're not leaving me alone.
Yeah.
They're not. If you leave me alone, don't believe your racist beliefs. I don't give a shit. Whatever, that's your business. Leave me alone and leave my people alone, and we're good. We don't have a problem. But now they're starting it more and more, and they're getting more bold about it. And I don't feel comfortable with that. And to me, if I keep trying to be calm and nice to these people, they're going to think they can take advantage. In the same way that bully example is, if you keep trying to be fucking nice to that bully, he's going to keep trying to pummel you. It's not until you hit back and say, hey, fuck off.
Right.
We're going to have a problem.
And I would agree with that part of the analogy. It's just the hit that needs to happen has to happen higher up in the hierarchy. And we have some in there. That's the thing, is like, one of the reasons I'm still very it's a toss-up thing where it's like, again, I have my views because I have my views, but there's also a big part of me that's like, much in the same way that I believe that deep inside the racist, there's a little kid crying in a corner. There's also like the politician who does care. There's somebody in there that's fighting for me. And I think it has been a very, like, clearly one-sided thing. Clearly one-sided. But I think now, like you said, the few people with reason who are seeing what's happening have started to shift, and that power balance has shifted a little bit. I'm not saying it's the strongest right now. I mean, I'm not saying it's the strongest. I would say it's at least it's at least gone from being like this to being like this. And like it's every day, the more it's like still happening, it's pushing this way. And I'm not talking about the crazies who are gonna, because again, the amount of, because as much as I talk the big talk, right? And I do think it's mental stuff, you're not gonna cure that overnight.
Yeah.
You're not gonna talk that's therapy at a certain point. At a certain point, you're asking like, how do you heal somebody of their mental traumas in one afternoon? It's like you're not gonna do it. And so trying to get the higher ups to change those mentalities when again they haven't experienced it, they don't know. And there's always gray area. There's always some story you could pull out that's a counter story to another story because you're dealing with humans. One of the bad parts of the giant sweeping canvas that is saying like white or black is that we don't add the word human at the end of it. And it's like everybody's experiences are so vast and different and like specific that it's hard to pinpoint it. And even though the black experience does have looping factors, you would also say the white experience has looping factors. So it's sorry, go ahead. I'm rambling.
I have
We
two.
have 3 minutes. So,
Okay. I have two things. We might have to restart again,
okay.
but I have two things. First thing is a question that I'll ask now so you can think about it. And that is, what would it, hey, young black kings, I'm here for you. And Trump, Jesus, good luck out there. First thing is a question, and that is, what would it take for you to get to my level? What would have to happen to you? And then the second thing is, one of the reasons why you're thinking about that, one of the reasons why I take this so personally and I'm so angry is because there's people that I grew up with that know me as a person and have interacted with me and have been fucking lying to me to my face in how they really feel. And there's I'm going to be vague about this, but I have a friend who has gone through a breakup. Okay. And I know both of these people, know both parties. The friend that went through the breakup, I like this person, and this is a good person. Okay. The other one that was my friend back in high school is a racist piece of shit, and one that would seem to be one of the points of contention actually in the relationship. This friend, white dude, I've known him my entire life.
It's funny to me that you didn't need to clarify. I immediately
I've been to his house. His family's involved with the police. Like they're all police people. And I remember being a kid and being at his house and being like, there's something off here with you and with your dad and with there's something off that I don't like. And I could feel it. And these people are nice to my face. And I know what they say when I'm not around. Just don't be around me. Don't be nice to my face. Stop it. Stop it. You're fucking with everyone's head. Stop it. Don't be nice to my face. If you don't like black people, if you really are just Blue Lives Matter, whatever your bullshit is, go with your fucking people. Go with your people and get the fuck away from me. So that's how I feel.
Okay. So we have 30 seconds. I'm going to stop it and restart it, and then I'll say my piece. So thank you guys that are here. We're going to stop and start right back up. So just stick around, and then we'll be right back. Again, sounds like I'm cutting to commercial, but I genuinely, the thing just lets you go an hour, so then you have to come out and come back in. Okay, so what my answer to the first question of what would it take for me to feel how you feel? Yeah, essentially, I would have to get, at this point in my life, I would have to get unequivocal evidence. And I talked to my friend about this. Essentially, if it did come to the Civil War point, if they were gunning people down as far as like militant, like there is no wiggle room, they're just gunning people down for being outside, for trying to peaceful protest, you're getting shot. At that point, that's where it's like, nah, because I can't find the justification there of shooting a peaceful person like point blank just because you got the okay.
So Donald Trump tried to give that okay, and luckily another higher person stopped him. Luckily, he tried to give that okay. The second thing is, I think that if we wait too long, we will get to that point. I waited too long to get a gun. For a long time, I was like, I don't want problem. That's not in my life. I don't want that energy around me. I waited too long, and now they're damn near out of guns. and I had to just pick anything that was left with what little money I have right now. If we wait to the point where they are doing that, then they will do that. They're getting to a crazy point, and they like it, man. I'm telling you, they love this shit. These Trump people fucking love this right now. This is their chance, their moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that. I think people are afraid. I think like everything, it's kind of the thing of going down the rabbit hole. For me, it's if guns are bought out, it's probably because people are freaking out. I don't think it's because people are like, yeah, finally I get to kill black people. Like I believe there's a subsection. Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I haven't seen also videos of Nazis getting together and being very that. But that's again talking about a subsection. I don't equivalate, like, just because it exists doesn't mean it's the majority. I think that's a minority that's very, very vocal. Very, very vocal. And then outside of that are people who are afraid and they say their part because they're afraid. Outside of that are people who just don't understand. And then what piece did you end up getting? High point.
What does that mean? High. I see that a lot.
What's the type of gun? You. Yeah, I have no idea.
I've seen high, but I got a revolver snub nose 38 special. So it's like I wanted to get a shotgun. I wanted to just be able to do this, and people be like, "Oh, let's not go to that house." But that was all I had. So that's all they had left.
Yeah. And my thing is just if if that's the case, to me it's just like the trail. If the case is I need a weapon because they're getting weapons, it feels like the Cold War. And it's like they're gonna do something, so I better do something. Okay, they got something, so I better do something. They're getting ready for war. No, you're getting ready for war. Because I think somebody could hear you say what you just said and be like, well, geez, he got a gun? Like, he got a gun? Like, well, now what if I'm just a white? He said he's done with all Trump supporters. Like, okay, well, now I'm a Trump supporter. I don't have a gun. So, well, I got to go get a gun now.
You're a Trump supporter and you don't have a gun, really?
It's possible. You
Sure.
could be a Trump supporter and not have a
Here's
gun.
what I say to that person. If you are, High Point is a gun company, and yeah, they're super cheap. Here's what I say to that type of person, that type of Trump person that is like, he's getting a gun, but that makes me scared. Here's what I say. Good. You should be scared, bitch. You should be. Have fun. Have fun when this shit breaks off. This is your fucking fault for supporting this guy still. If you're still supporting him, I don't give a shit about your feelings anymore. I don't. We've gotten to a point where he ordered the National Guard to lethally shoot protesters. And the only reason it hasn't happened yet is because luckily someone else in the military stopped it. So yeah, if you're a Trump supporter and you're fucking scared, good. Now you feel how I feel my entire life. Fuck you.
Right. And I would say, like, again, for me, it's like he's a dum-dum. He's a dum-dum who doesn't understand. Like, he's been a rich kid his whole life. He's had a silver spoon in his life. He doesn't get the concept of death. He doesn't understand that, like, what it means to have to watch your son die in your arms. You seen any of his reactions to any of the stuff? I don't think it's. I think everybody wants to jump to the top shelf because it's easy to do that, and I wouldn't say the tendencies aren't there. But like for Donald Trump, funny. But like the tendency to go like, oh, he's a sociopath, just because he like would even want that. Why would you ever even say that? Why would you ever even go there? Like why lethal force? Like it's fine. You were still getting people on the looting thing. You don't need to kill people to prove a point. That's a crazy person. That is crazy. But if somebody was gonna be crazy, maybe it was the guy who was given $1 billion when he started. Maybe his whole life has been just a rose petal garden. And not to say that excuses it, but I'm just saying, like, okay, like, yes, he's a Looney Tune. He shouldn't be in the White House. We've said that several times. Everybody knew that as it was happening. And then we went, what's the worst that could happen? What could he do? He's just a cartoon character saying outlandish stuff all the time, doing outlandish things. Like in the middle of all this, he went to a church, not to go in the church, not to talk to people, not to pray, but to hold up a Bible and take the most forced picture I've ever seen in my life. Like, have you seen the photo? It's
Yeah.
the most like, and that's what gets me. And I know this is where I do feed into the mentality where it's like, I mean, yeah, if you're still supporting him, then I don't know what you're doing. Like, you're not okay, because it's the people who are like, yeah, look at him, look at that. Our president went, and in these times he went to a church and he held up the Bible. That's his version of peace. It's like he took a picture and
My
it wasn't even a nice picture. It was like you were forced to go to church. Sorry, go ahead.
and my thing is, if you're still supporting Trump after all of this, you're a fucking monster. You are. We're done. We're done with the talks now because, like, okay, how about this?
Okay.
If you can't take a knee and you can't protest and you can't riot, what can you do? I'm asking this non-rhetorically.
The non-rhetorical answer is not what anyone likes because it moves really slow and the odds of it turning around is very low. Your shirt blends in with Aaron's background. Oh. uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, the short answer, it's one of two things. Either one, you could say there's nothing to be done, or two, you can trust the system so much that all you're doing is writing to your representatives. Like what I think they would like for people to do is to do the phone call thing to your mayor or whatever, your governor, your senator, your House of Representatives, those people, and you would just do it all the time, and just everybody would individually do that and just blow up the phone lines, and then they would take it into consideration, and then they would put it in front of the House of Representatives, like, okay, so I've been getting a lot of phone calls, and somebody else would be like, I also have been getting a lot of phone calls, and I am also getting a lot of phone. Okay, maybe we should address this. And then this is in a world, again, this is my bread and butter. This is the world of fantasy where humans aren't human. In a world where humans aren't human, and everybody immediately believed everything just because everyone said it. Like, they say, hey, we're being abused by cops. You need to change this with a law. I don't get how Christians still support Guy. He can't quite. Sorry. I don't get how Christians still support Guy. He can't quote any Bible verse ever. When asked what his favorite verse is, he said, it's hard to choose. There are so many great ones. I mean, he really is the Bugs Bunny of political people. Anywho, all I'm saying is what they want is for us to go through the funnel system that is the system and hopefully make a law that changes things within the police. But at the point that that would happen, first we need all the systematic ideas of what's going on in the system to not believe in itself in order for that to even work. Two, that nobody has any self-interest in this, that nobody has anything to gain from ignoring that. Like laws, like just because people public outcry about it doesn't mean they have to take it seriously. They can just be like, "Oh yeah, it's on the floor. We're discussing it, but like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it." And then just keep looking over here. And so that's what they want, but that doesn't have the immediacy because it doesn't punish. It doesn't punish. There hasn't been a punishment for the thing. And now that we've been in like protest riot mode, it's showing that like, okay, you can support the couple of people that are doing wrong. Because you're saying, from your perspective, you're saying these people are crazy. They do not represent us. We're saying, okay, separate them from you. Go ahead and put them away, and we'll stop. And the amount of things that they're like, well, I don't know if we should punish them for being crazy. They don't represent us, but like, I don't know if we should punish them. And for years we were like, well, I mean, we can't do anything. We tried talking to them. We tried doing the thing, like it's not working, and we can't do the sit-in thing. Okay, well, I guess what we're gonna have to do is freaking riot or hold up the streets. And now that's causing such a economic effect. It's like hurting them both pocket wise and just they can't contain that many people. There's
Yeah,
no way to arrest the entire country. So it's like
Germany did it.
it,
Uh, Germany did it. But do you think Black Americans deserve restitutions like Native Americans? I don't know. I just want to feel safe. Honestly, I know this. I'm bare minimum. I just want to feel safe again.
restitutions, I would say, yeah, but like at what? I don't know. I think you can make those arguments, but then like what would that even do? Like once we start going down the rabbit hole of who owes who what because our great great grandfathers did such and such, then you start to everybody's owed everything. And it's like, okay, well then what are we doing? And it's also like built on the shoulders of giants. Like, does Jeff Bezos owe us all 1,000 something dollars because he lives in America? Like, I've done some things. I've taken advantage of the American system. Does that mean I owe everybody who is an American a thing? I don't know. I don't know. It starts to get very mucky. But that's a totally different subject. Sorry. Go ahead.
I have a question. If my concerns were 100% validated in the sense that I got killed out here for
Mhm.
existing,
Yes.
how would you feel then?
I would feel sad. I would be very sad, and I would probably start being more a part of the actions that are. Um, I'd make more moves. I think I'd try. I'd be more out in the protest. I'd be more calling my representatives because at that point it would have been somebody who I know and have an attachment to. Hold on.
So what? Okay, you okay?
I hate it. I had a burp that wasn't coming out.
Right. So what I
You have
would
problems.
say,
You-
what I would then say is, instead of before they kill me, can we do something now? Does that make sense?
yeah, we could absolutely, but
So
it starts to become. Huh?
that's how it's like when you said like, well, this then happened to a friend of mine. There's something personal about that.
Yeah.
So then you would take action. Right now, it's already gotten personal for me, and the more people that take action, the better.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. We're going in circles. I don't know.
I mean, is it? I don't know. I feel like I understand you a little bit more. It's fine if you don't, but it's like it's cool. I get
I,
it. Again, we're gonna have our viewpoints and we're gonna feel our ways. Again, I definitely will try to make it out to one of the protests at least, but I don't
I
know.
I
It's,
understand where you're coming from, and I think it's just because you haven't had it. Like, dude, on the day it happens, I just want you to be safe and okay, but I also want this to click in a way that I can't put into words. You
and
know?
I don't think it ever will seriously. And I think that's why I relate. That's why I can play the other side a little bit is because that lack of having had it happen to me puts me in a state of all right, like and people would call it contentment, people would call it comfort, people would call it a lot of high roady things that you could say, but we could go down the rabbit hole of doing that. It's just for me, it's like those conversations need to be had because at a certain point, if you're asking for, if we don't have somebody playing this role and we just make it into okay, there are people, it's them versus us. If we turn it into that, if we decide to play that game, then what we're asking at a certain point, because we're saying they don't have humanity, what you're saying is they don't have humanity. At that point, how are we better for wiping them? Because we've decided they're bad by our system, which is somehow not the same as them deciding we're bad by their system. Like, I don't think that. I think there's a mutual place. I think there's a reason the jail system exists. It's supposed to be reform. It's supposed to be all that stuff. I don't want my daughter to go through the things that have happened to me. Stand now and fight for our future.
Someone else said something too. Like, why do you think this time will be like shit? Why do you? God damn it! Why
And
do
what
you?
we were posting back.
What?
Because it's more people. The
So,
the short and steady answer.
so what you're saying about being that other side? I would say the problem is because you're a black man, it's going to be it's going to be latched onto by crazy people. So, for example, I was out there in the street talking and debating with people, and there was a guy who was Trayvon Martin got brought up, and I said that a grown man shot and killed an unarmed child, and his response was child, implying that Trayvon was very tall and big and scary, therefore he deserved to be killed. And that same guy, and we went back and forth about that, but that same guy kept bringing up some Fox News talking head that's a black woman. I can't remember her name.
Yeah.
But he kept bringing up this particular black woman because she was saying things that made him feel comfortable and happy and was reiterating his belief system so he can say, okay, look, there's this one. Okay, this one agrees with me, therefore I'm right because a black person agrees with me. So when you now at this point, I would say yes. Choose. It is time to choose a side. This is they are the fucking empire, as far as I'm concerned. And when you at this point, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. They just want black people. They don't give a shit about you. They're just gonna take you as a pedestal and say, okay, here's one of the good ones. All right, we're good. And that's my issue.
Right. And I understand that. And absolutely, there's a world where that's true. Obviously, people have used the black friend argument for years. But to me, it's a cost to the game. Like, to me, it's like, all right, for that guy being that, at least I'm having a conversation with him. Like, at least we're trying still. At least, to me, I'd rather be the guy pushing up against the wall trying to move it than the guy like, this wall, we should just blow it up. And I'm like, well, I guess that is a way to and Aaron's gone. I bet his phone died, you guys. If anything, that is a thing that has happened. He'll be back shortly. In the meantime, in the green time, we'll wait on him. I assume it's going to cancel out and then he's going to come back in. All I'm saying is oh, you're back. Did your thing die? Did it pack you out?
No.
Okay. Anywho, but yeah, there's how do I put it? To me, it's like that. It speaks of a giving up to me that at that point, like you're not winning, you're just suppressing. Like at that point, Candace Owen was the Fox talking head, aka human S-word stain. Yeah, a lot of people don't like that girl.
Yeah, that was the lady.
I understand why, but I also, again, I try to get her thing. Like, again, when you come up in certain situations and your experiences haven't been those of others, it's like, okay, like it's easy to say all the things that you say. Then it's easy to be like, yeah, why don't you? But I don't know. It's because I can use the other side of my brain that recognizes that I am a human being and I am flawed and I will make my mistakes. And even at the cost of other people. She doesn't like herself. She doesn't like herself. Again, I don't know enough about Candace Owen to even really talk about her for real.
Before we keep going, I would say that I see the other side, and I can even put it into words that are reasonable in the sense that I think they would agree. The other side would say, well, the police officers have been arrested, and I don't understand why they're still out there protesting and or rioting, because Candace Owens is a total grifter, was super left, ran a doxing website for a bit before she went far right. Well, I learned something. They feel that, they feel that they don't understand the police are the good guys, and these people or protesters or hoodlums or thugs, whatever they want to call them, those people are being criminals, and they're being ridiculous, and they're wrong. They're insulting the flag, they're insulting the president, they're insulting America. And if they don't like America, they can leave. This is what I would say that they would feel. From their perspective, they feel I'm an American and the police officers treat me well. Therefore, the police is good. Yeah. And what I would say to that is I'll use the Me Too movement. I'm not a woman, but Me Too movement came out I understand their initial defensiveness. Because when the Me Too, there's a piece of me that was like, I don't rape people. I'm not a rapist. There's no rape. There was this piece of me that felt that way. Then enough people came out where I was like, all right, maybe I should shut up and listen. At this point, if this type of person doesn't shut up and listen, they will not listen. And I don't care about their opinions or their feelings anymore. And I know that they have another perspective, and their perspective is null at this point because they are going to be on the wrong side of history, and they're putting my life in danger and my grandma's life in danger, and I'm done. The end.
Okay. As for my perspective on that, I just to piggyback off the Me Too movement, I understand it, but I see it as like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. The Me Too movement is great. It still has there's still a lot to be said about it, a lot to come out. I'm gonna just go ahead and assume he can still hear me. It's a great movement. It was good. It's good for a lot of women, and that more power to them because that I don't feel like it was over. I feel like it got an uprise and then it just kind of pittered out. But like we still talk about it here and there. But in general, don't mess with my. And he's gone. All right. Well, I gotta wait for him to come back. In the meantime, in the green time, as you can see, it's getting very hot in this room. And I just got a message. So many things at once. Let's see. Oh, he's back. Oh, hey, Mom. Mom's in the chat. Oh, yeah. Aaron had a question for you. Aaron, my mom showed up in the chat. The Lachey Cammy, the lady who said hello, that's my mom.
Can I talk to your mom?
No, you can't talk to my mom. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
What is her name?
Legally, Cammy.
Tammy?
Yes.
Hi, Tammy.
What? No, K. It's you see where it says Lachey Cammy?
Cammy. I see it. Hi, Cammy. I'm very angry right now.
It is his part of the show.
I'm very angry. And I want to know, maybe this will give me more.
It's not at me. I didn't. It's a part of the huge thing that's going on in general. As you.
Yeah. I basically, to summarize my stance, is I've lived my entire life being peaceful, being calm, talking to people reasonably, and I've lived in a racist neighborhood my entire life. We've finally gotten to a point where people are listening. And so then the people who are still not listening, I don't believe they can be reached, and I'm done with them. Part of me says that just because it is frustrating and it's irritating, and I've tried to be calm my whole life. And part of me feels this way because they have now gotten more violent, and they've gotten more, they feel more, what is it, zero you're talking about? They are feeling more emboldened because of our president. So for me personally, I'm done. I'm done having a conversation with these people. I'm done trying to be reasonable with these people. And I think at this point, those types of people cannot be reasoned with. As Zero's mother, I'm very curious. I want to see I'm very curious. I'm very curious.
Because I have you can pretty much guess my stance on it, mother. But yeah, and let me clarify. I don't call my mom mother. That's just like when I do it as a bit sometimes. But in general, she could pretty much guess what I am. But I think,
right.
Interestingly enough, I don't think she views it the same way I view it.
That is interesting. And I assume she's typing right now, probably.
I have no idea. It says she's still here. But in the meantime, in the green time, other stuff, I guess, will.
It's, yeah, I guess to speak calmly.
Yeah.
I've been out there on a positive note. This has quickly become the best podcast I've listened to.
We appreciate it.
On a positive note, there are a lot of white people showing out, and they are. I said this before, but they're putting their lives on the line, and that is appreciated, and does not go unnoticed. What is the question? What are your feelings of that? So my feelings of I'm done, I'm fed up. I don't believe that at this point. I believe that if you are a Trump supporter, if you're still screaming out "All Lives Matter," you cannot be reasoned with. Hold up a second. I'm hearing. Hold up a second.
He's
So
going up.
I heard some shit. I can't see it out there. Something's going on. I don't know.
Oh.
I heard the cops on a blowhorn.
Oh. Interesting.
Regardless,
Chase live in the field.
yeah. So basically, what I'm asking is, would you agree or dis? Oh,
See.
okay.
Yeah. See, my mom. Again, I come from. How do I put this? I come from. I wouldn't say we're like privileged, but like my mom worked hard to put me in a space where I could have the viewpoint that I have, that I could have the things that I have, that I could live the life that I live. She's a great woman. I have nothing but respect for her. I think she's a wonderful person. Couldn't have done better. I couldn't have asked for more. But at the same time, I feel like my family is way more classically black. Like in the way that like they like if you like everything you could say like down the checklist is pretty much there. I was raised by all women, all strong, all independent, all like working their best. There's some drama in there. There's but like again, my mom came from like it wasn't the greatest, and then she brought her and my grandma even more than that, like up. But yeah, she like she says in the comments now, we open to disagree. Like she feels how she feels, and my cousin is a lot the same way. I think a lot of my family is a lot the same way. That yeah, they would be fed up and like tired of it, and like they're done having discussions and all this stuff. And obviously they care about me and all that stuff. And they even called me during while stuff was just ramping up, and they were like, "Hey, we heard stuff is going down." Gross. I should swallow. But like they called me and they care. But for me, it's like I hold my beliefs because unlike my family, and not even unlike, they have some, but they're so far and few between where it's like they don't interact with white people like how I interact with white people. And it's not to say that white people don't have racist things on me or have done things that are racist. But after interacting with them, I see that they are human just like us. And don't get me wrong, my family also thinks that they're human. They're not racist. They're great people. I can't say enough. They're fine. There's nothing wrong. It's just they're closer to your opinion than they are to mine. And my opinion is that there are still conversations to be had that like there's no one unreachable. That's the difference. I'm naive and I'm very airy fairy. My mom is the one to coin for me the rainbow colored glasses thing. Like she's said that about me multiple times, and I 100% agree. And I don't know how I got that way. Again, I think a lot of it is the benefit of living the life that I've lived. A lot of it is not seeing darkness when it's very clearly in front of me until way later. But in general, yeah, I still believe that even the darkest of people, even in the most evil of evil, there is something to be reached. There's something deep down. That person cares about something, and that's enough for me to be like, okay, if you care about one thing, then I can get you to understand where I'm coming from. And if I can communicate with you, then I can get there. I'm not saying it's like I don't know if I could do it in one conversation. I don't know if I could do it when they're clearly pumped up, but I do believe in my ability to do it. But that's just me. That's just how I do things.
It's yeah. I'm very hungry.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna eat.
All right. Well then, guys, this has been another episode of A to Z. You guys, tune in next week at some point. Hopefully Friday. The only reason we held off is because stuff came up in life, obviously. And so, thank you for tuning in. For more A to Z, you can tune in to us on YouTube at the Buddy System Comedy. Just search Buddy System Comedy, A to Z podcast, one of those two things, and you'll find us. And the other episodes are already up. This episode will go up probably like in 3 weeks. To find more of me, you meet me at zero Rimson. I'm sorry, at @0_KR anime on Instagram.com. And you can meet the guy below me, Aaron Chase, at Aaron Chase 91 on Instagram. You can also listen to his AACMM podcast that's on the YouTube. And yeah, thanks for talking to us. See you next week or whenever we see you. Bye.